Hey guys, happy Wednesday. Valerie Hunt, Ask Me Anything, Run RX. So I have a really great question today and I'm excited to answer it. So I'm going to put my glasses on for just a minute. If you have a question and you come on, just post it and I'll be able to see it and come answer it. So the question was, why do my feet hurt after my run? And my first answer, I'm going to step back here for just a minute, is going to ask you a question back. So if my feet hurt during my run, my question back to you is, while you're running, what are you doing to your feet? And it's an interesting question because when you think about I'm going out for a run or while you're running, what's your thought about your run? And it's a funny question because a lot of people aren't thinking about their movement so much during their run as much as more of the result. Like I'm trying to get to run, so many miles, or I have so much time, or I've got to get up that hill. So my thought is kind of the traveling aspect of running, or I check my heart rate, right? How often am I checking my movement? And what is my relationship with the ground? So this is a really good one because, and to be fair, I offer you guys, and I encourage you to do it. I've got a 30-day reboot on the YouTube channel, Run RX Reboot, on YouTube, Run RX, and it takes you through a rotation of skill, strength, and self-care to get you in the habit of doing all three, because all three are needed. I have to know why I'm doing what I'm doing, right? So when I go for a run, I want to know that I know how to run. Sounds ridiculous. In the beginning, when I first started this, so for example, I'm a great example. I didn't grow up running. I grew up just playing outside like kids do. And then when I went into fitness for a career, I'm a kinesiology major. I'm a gym junkie. I joined a gym when I was like high school, 14 years old. Started lifting weights, started doing the aerobics classes, and then I got a job teaching. And then I decided to start going out and running. And I'd spent close to 5-10 years exercising, and as soon as I started running, I got injured. And I'd never been injured before. I couldn't believe it. So I went to the running shoe store, and the guys were like, "Oh, you're wearing the wrong shoes," right? Like everybody else. Oh, good. Go out, still pain. And I had to say to myself, I'm a kines major, I'm an exercise person. I'm not exercising right, because how can I do all of my other exercises and they don't hurt? Other than soreness, right? So like if you do a bunch of something and you're sore, like I did a bunch of lunges, my glutes are sore. Makes sense. When you go running, what muscle, not sore, but what muscle should be tired when I'm running? My heart, because it's a cardiovascular exercise. It's not really, it's an impact activity for sure, but it's actually not necessary to work as hard as most of us are working. So the first thing is, what am I even doing when I run? So if my feet hurt after my run, I must be putting body weight on the foot, because that's what causes pain and injuries. When I'm on the ground in my run, what do I do? Do I reach for the ground? Do I push off the ground? Do I actively land? Am I looking for the ground with the foot, right? So all of these things are relationship you have with the ground. While you're running, are you thinking, I need to feel the ground, and then you push? So many of us, I was taught to do this, to push, so that when I felt the ground and I would feel it, to push into the ground, and that would take your body forward. Well, the challenge of that is it takes my body forward, but where does my leg go? Back. Well, if I'm here, I'm not in pose, so the only thing I can do then is the same thing. I'm going to push, and then I'm doing the same thing. So when I'm doing that pushing, I'm just adding impact in my run. So if my foot hurts, it's because I'm taking like 3 times my weight. Well, with pushing, by the way, it's kind of like I put an ankle weight on, maybe a 15-pound, 30-pound ankle weight, and then I go like this, kick, and then I've got this weight back here, and I've got to go, what's going to bring my foot to me? It's going to go hamstring, hip. It's a lot of active muscle contraction, and the bummer is if I push off the back every action has an equal response, right? So if I push off the back, my front leg goes like this. Kink, land. So all of a sudden, I'm adding impact to my run without sensing it, without being aware of it. Because in your mind, you're like, I'm running. Push, 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 push. But you're not thinking push at all. You're just running. Mindless movement, I call it. Not really thinking about my movement, but I've adapted my movement to do what I want to do. So then when people are like, well, I want to run faster, what do they start doing? They start trying to move their body parts. It's like they try to move their feet faster, right? I hear that a lot. They try to increase their cadence, try to pump their arms maybe. And none of that's going to help because the action, your intent isn't yet what it should be. How's that? So if your feet hurt, it's because you're either pushing or you're actively reaching. It's one of the two. Or it could be both. Sometimes we do both. I want to push and find the ground. Push and find the ground. I ran like that for years, guys. I had no idea it was wrong. Someone told me that I needed to push off the back to really extend my stride and then really reach my foot forward. So I was like, you know? And we try to make that stride length happen. Well, you cannot make that stride length happen. Stride length is a byproduct. It's a response. So what do I need to do, Valerie? Well, I need you to just first breathe. Take your foot, look down at it, and just lift it off the ground. And then when you put it back down, I want you to touch the ground, but place no body weight on it. See how my foot's free? Put your foot on the ground, but avoid putting any weight on it. Just let it touch. When you feel your weight on the foot, I feel the ball of my foot, I can feel the whole foot. I can wiggle my toes, but my body weight is really on this other foot. When you sense the ground under the foot, pull. And on the way down, like resist. Resist, 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 resist. When I feel the ground, pull. Resist, resist, resist. When I feel the ground, pull. So pull is the opposite of push, right? Pull means I feel the ground and I pull up. It's like a hot potato game. So when you sense the ground, you're like, ah, I'm pulling my foot up off the ground, right? First I kind of have to think it, because if I just stand here and pull, where am I going? Nowhere, right? So we have to make sure that, remember, pulling is my action, but to go forward, I have to let my body free fall. And as soon as you free fall, this is the best part, your body weight goes that way, your foot weighs nothing. It's 2% of your body weight. So can you injure yourself, really, if I'm pulling just 2% of my body weight versus putting that 30-pound weight on and then 3 times my body weight, 3 times my body weight, 3 times my body weight, plus that 30-pound weight. Oh my gosh. We have no idea how much load we are putting on our feet and our joints until we start to kind of break down running. And then you're like, 2% of my body weight? Wow, that's nice. Yeah, it's really nice. It's a lot better. So how can I do that? Well, first you've got to think it, honestly. You've got to just get comfortable with like, oh, there's a movement to running. And it's really simple because we're always pulling to the running pose or figure 4. Gravity is free, it's always here. You just have to let yourself go. And then pulling is a response to the fall. So the best part is you learn the action, you learn the pose, you think it, right? You can practice in place and then free fall. And then here's the thing. If I'm still hurting, make sure to add what? The strength and the self-care. So this is important. There's all 3 for that. So it's one thing to say, okay, I think I got it. I hear what she's saying, all right. Then you go out, you don't just have it. There's no way. You have to develop the ability to do it. Does that make sense? So that's where the practice comes in. You put it in your warm-up, you add a few drills, you start getting more comfortable with moving using elasticity instead of doing everything like mechanical or aggressively, right? Because if it's like if I've been pushing, it's really powerful movement. It's really aggressive. And for a lot of people, they like that feeling in their run. So when I first teach them to pull, they're like, oh, it feels too easy. Right? I know Jamie's watching, and she told me that. She's in the immersion right now. She joined the membership. And she's like, oh my gosh, I did this drill, and I couldn't believe how light my feet felt. And I'm like, believe it. Believe it, believe it, believe it. Because when you're running, body weight is up and forward. Feet, light. Right? If my body weight is up and forward, my feet are very light. When my lifted foot drops to the ground, I do nothing. Okay? My gravity does that. If you allow gravity to let your lifted foot drop, it will drop in the right place, and it will be half the impact. I'm telling you. And then you're off and on that support. Yeah, Kirsten, exactly. Kirsten's watching, and she, guys, is in training. She's going to attempt to break the Guinness World Record, right? Of men and women, I think, of how many 50Ks can I do in a row. It's amazing. And she just said, when I feel like my running is hard, I tell myself, all right, let's fall a little bit more to feel that quicker pull off the ground. And again, guys, it's one of those things where, like, once you connect with gravity and you understand that there really is this infinite ability to let yourself go, and your feet, by the way, pull as a response. That's the best part of running is, and this is I say this a lot, when I first started doing this learning to run bit, 20 plus years ago before the internet, people kept saying to me, how can you not know how to run? Like, running is the most natural thing. And yes, 100% you're correct. It's the most natural thing in the world. You're right. If you let yourself move naturally. See, that's the problem. We haven't. Most of us have been conditioned to either move one way or the other, or we're misguided or mistaught. It is a very natural thing, but the natural part, just so you guys know, is the falling aspect. And I don't see it discussed anywhere. And so you have to think it and you have to connect with it. And it's just something that once you do, you allow yourself the freedom of running. That's to me the joy part. So if my feet hurt, I feel like I'm on the ground too long, my legs feel heavy, seriously, pull in place for a second. Feel how light it is in place. And then leave the feet there and let the body fall. And the feet are pulling to keep up with the body, right? So then it's just a fun game. How far can I fall? And have fun with it. So I encourage, especially in the beginning, to do some intervals. Instead, not speed work so much, but short distance, so I can just practice feeling. Because it might be in the beginning you feel it for 5 seconds, so what? Then you can reset. And the longer you play with it, I mean, it's there every time you go running, you just get better. However, I do understand if my feet hurt. All of that's great, Valerie, but my feet hurt. So we also have strength and self-care, and that supports the skill. So self-care for my feet, if I have no equipment, just my body, I always will start with ankle openers, right? Just sitting on the feet. If I can't sit all the way down, I'll modify, but this is my go-to, this way. We have so many exercises on the Reboot. They're free. Go do them all. But I'm telling you, keeping it simple and paying attention. So those are ankle openers. You can do all kinds of footwork, scrunch your toes. It's so easy throughout the day. Just play with your feet. Wiggle your toes. You want to be a runner. You want to have strong feet, right? When I first started running, I had a really fun physical therapist, and she said, Valerie, she's from Scotland, all of your runners, they have feet of pudding. Do you understand? She's like, no one's strengthening the foot. So they put these shoes on and then they go running and they don't understand why there's no stability. So get in your feet, scrunch your toes, wiggle. There's no wrong with the foot strength. And on top of that, of course, is, there's stretching, right? But also, guys, this is something that gets left out. The elasticity aspect of strength training is what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about doing push-ups. I'm talking about taking the foot, right, and strengthening it by toe scrunches, and also, though, this. this understanding that I'm simply trying to leave the ground, it's a little bit of a rebound, it's a hop, it's not a jump, is also part of the recovery. And you'll see in the reboot, it's a part of the skill, just continuing to develop that elasticity, that feel of getting off the ground. Because if I have spent my whole life pushing, it's a relationship change. You're about to have a whole new relationship with running, with the ground. So the drills are just to help you sense. So when you're running, you're sensing. You know, you're just going to start running by sense. What starts to happen when you're running is you're naturally going to fall because it's going to be what you do. Your pull becomes very comfortable. And you're going to be, you know, your pull will start to match your fall. Your feet will obviously hurt less. Everything will hurt less. The challenge in running is really the hold, right? Being able to hold myself here. Breathing should be a challenge. And so like I said, go through the reboot. It's a great way to just get introduced to that rotation of skill, strength, self-care, skill, strength, self-care. So I keep getting stronger for my running. All right, guys, I love talking to you. Again, like I said, you're always welcome to post questions. If you have questions after you're trying the reboot, you can actually ask questions directly on the channel. You can come back in here in the comments. You can email us anytime. If you have like a little twinge or something that keeps bothering you in your run, we have a free quiz on our website, runrxquiz.com. So you put in whatever it is you're feeling, and it gives you a skill, strength, and self-care specific for that. So it's a really nice way to get started. In fact, I had someone do that recently, and he sent me an email. He took the quiz, and he said, okay, I see it now. I definitely need to work more on my fall pull. And then he went and ran a race. I think it was a 10K or something, and a friend of his got a picture of him, and he sent it. And he could so see that when he was running, his shoulders were back. And because his shoulders were behind his hips, his foot was coming out. So in his mind, he was pulling, but his foot had to go somewhere, so it was coming out in front. So I said, you see, your pulling is right, you just have to correct the pose. And so it's so fun to communicate that way, right? Because now he can see it. Once you see it, you can correct it. Even better though, once you feel it, it just becomes correct. So it was just fun. So keep in mind, it's all there for you, and you can reach out and ask questions. I'm happy to see you too. All right, guys, I'll see you next Wednesday. Have a great day. Thank you.